Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mission Yozakura Family, Season 1, Episode 18. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, the episode opens with Shinzo and Taiyo training, obviously trying to gain more control of his Yozakura blood. Obviously, it's about kind of not just like where it naturally gravitates to your core. You need to like make sure you send it to other places, in particular enhance your senses. And you know, because obviously teaching him, I guess, like every form of combat, because you never know what the circumstances are going to be, because he's working on swordsmanship. You know, obviously his main go-to thing is a gun, which obviously he can learn from Shinzo, but still, it's like you probably want to be proficient in a lot of different weaponry, just in case you don't know what circumstances might come up, and you always want to be prepared for the, you know, unpreparable type of situation. But yeah, it turns out the Yosakuras are being Matsumi won like something at the mall, and it was like a whole family trip. Sadly, the only person that can't go is Kishiro, because he has a mission he has to go on, which we never found out what the mission actually was, but he's so butthurt about it. He's like, no, I'm gonna go. Who cares about the mission as long as I get to go to like this hot springs with Mitsumi, but he has no choice but to go. But then Mitsumi kind of plays the cute sister, you know, card, and he, with the sister, you know, obsession he has, he folds like paper. And I love both Shion and Futaba go like, yeah, that was super easy. Yeah, like they saw it as like, well, obviously that was a trump card to use. Mitsumi wasn't trying to manipulate him. She was just being genuine in that moment. You look at her face being like, oh, like, what are you guys talking about? Like, yeah, she wasn't trying to manipulate him. She was just being like, right, be safe, big brother. And like, we'll go together next time, to like you and me. So, and also had to leave with a threat telling Taiyo not to bathe with Mitsumi. So it's kind of a nice first like full family vacation for the most part for the Yosakuras. I'd assume the only people who've been before, I think Mitsumi's probably been before. No, well, she said it's a really hard thing to get to, and very rarely can you win an opportunity to go there. But like Futaba probably is going, Kishiro's going. I don't know if Shion has, because Shinzo had no idea when he's like, whoa, are you sure this is the right way to go, Shion? Wait, there's just a lake, and it's like, yeah, like the entrance to the facility is like it's supposed to be hidden away, like, so it's not easy to find. But the whole vehicle transforms into a water vehicle. I was like, oh, interesting. Makes a lot of sense for Shion, but the fact that she didn't give anyone any heads up is interesting. I also appreciate that, I mean, especially after last episode now, like, I guess, like, when he's vacationing, because it's like, well, there's very little reason for me to be in my mutated form, so Nano, like, is in his, like, normal form. I love that he's, like, all the stuff he's preparing, like, it's like all these capsules he had, like, stored, because he was preparing stuff inside of his body, he's throwing them up and stuff. But anyway, it's kind of this nice facility. The whole episode didn't end up being as fan servicey as I thought it would, but in the grand scheme of like the Yosakura families, I figured it wouldn't be. Because like, when I think of like I think of JRPGs where it's like your Personas or like your Trails of Code. Well, any of the Trails games. That's the one I used as an example last episode. But I just kind of expected that. But it's like with the Yosakura family, I don't know why I kind of assumed. In fact, it's more so other like spy families or groups, or it's because it's not just for the spies, it's anyone in the underworld. And I love that there's this guy, we don't know who they are, all we know is that it's a group that Kishiro busted up at one point in time, and he wants to like try and start some shit, but like there's no fighting, like, so everything, it is very relaxing because it's pretty much like a normal facility, as Mitsumi puts it, which then Taiyo looks and sees some kids buying swords. They're like, oh my god, they're not wooden swords, they're real swords. And the father's nearby just kind of smiling like, yeah. And Taiyo's like, normal? And Mitsumi's like, So that's really neat. One of my favorite, I think is the most adorable moment is the whole, like, we found out the Yosakura situation is that there's a tradition of fighting for the seats next to the window, and Shinzo and Kingo get there first, but Nano plays him like a fiddle and kind of activates cute mode. He's like, can I sit there right here, big bro? And Shinzo is so weak. He's like, yeah, sure. And Kingo's laughing. And Taiyo just kind of ends up saying, like, unintentionally tells like a very sympathetic story. He's like, oh yeah, like I used to come to places like this with my family, and my brother would always want the window place. And then all three of them go like, sit here, Taiyo, you deserve to sit here. Do you want to like want us to rub your feet and take care of you? He's like, no, it's good, it's fine. It was so sweet because like also it, you know, Taiyo doesn't talk about his family a lot. But I think it's kind of that thing of it feels nice to talk about him because for so long it was so hard to talk about him. But he has these little moments where he talks about his family, you know. I think it's nice to reminisce about, you know, his brother from time to time and stuff like that. And I just thought, but I just thought that was such a cute moment of them being like, it's okay, Taiyo, you can take this seat here. It's all yours. I thought that was so adorable. I also love that Kingo is trying to watch some very inappropriate. I appreciate the screens. Even though there's nothing up there yet, I still appreciate the pixelation. And it's like, why are you watching it? And Kingo's like, it's my duty as a man. And it's like, don't say that and try to act cool at the same time. We transition over to the ladies' room, and it turns out Shion is doing the exact same thing. It's like, why are you doing that? She's like, for educational purposes. It's like, okay. I mean, the family's a bunch of weirdos, but it does seem like Shion and Kingo are probably the biggest weirdos in the family. But also, Mitsumi seems like she had an ulterior motive for coming here. And I love that line from Futaba. She's like, I had a feeling. She's like, I had a gut feeling. And it's like, right, sometimes it's easier to say certain things when you're out and away from home. And I'm like, what is it that she wants to confess to Taiyo, wants to talk about? But it's just kind of this cute, nice episode of just, once again, just like the Yosakuras just having fun, and obviously things kind of pop off later on when they're eating, when the guy was trying to like start stuff with Futaba. To be fair, Futaba was kind of starting back with him, like, oh, what are you gonna do? You can't do anything. And he spilled alcohol on her, and somehow apparently she's an extreme lightweight. I don't know if some of it got in her mouth. It had to be the smallest amount, like, because your mouth wasn't open. It looks like you completely got drenched in it, but it's like, did your skin end up absorbing it? But I think it's probably just the bit is the smallest amount ended up in her mouth, and when she gets a little drunk, she can't stop laughing, and she goes buck wild because she can't control herself. So she started popping off. I was like, isn't that going to be an issue? But I guess it's like she's twirling them around and she's laughing, so it seems more fun than like violence and fighting. So maybe that's the justification for it. So it's like, right, you guys get away from Futaba while she's like this. So Taiyo and Mitsumi have time alone, and it's like, oh, there's a special bath here. Taiyo was going to go off on his own. He's like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. And she convinces him, like, no, let's take a bath together, which he's so nervous about it, which I love her reaction, just being like, Taiyo, we're married, it's totally fine, because he's just trying not to look at her, and he's like, she's wearing the towel and everything, but it's still kind of like, oh my god, this is happening. But also, it's just kind of, for him, it's like, yeah, it's exhausting, but it's also like the chaos of it. It's just like, yeah, it's the beauty of having a family, and it's one of those moments of being able to sit back and just relax and enjoy the family that you got. The chaos of it, it's kind of like, I think it's because for so long Taiyo had the quiet of not having his family, and now having a big rambunctious family, tiring and all, but it's like we're there for each other, we love each other, and it's kind of nice being a part of all of this. And we see what Mitsumi was kind of holding out on talking to Taiyo about, because she learned from Kishiro last episode. So I guess the rest of the Yosakuras know, but this is Taiyo's first time hearing about. I don't know if they never expressly say this, so I don't know if he knows that he's actually already met Mitsumi's dad. They didn't have a real exchange, but I don't know if he's equated that, oh, the guy he met, because like, once again, Shinzo knew based on Taiyo's wounds that it was their dad, but I don't know beyond that, like whether they've talked about it. But this is like, Mitsumi only found out after the fact that it was their dad. She had, when stuff was going down, she figured as much, it had to be her dad, and Kishiro confirmed, like, well, he, at the very least, he was like, yeah, I actually met up with dad. So they did get the ring back, so I'm curious where that's at. If they just got that stashed somewhere, or just like Mitsumi keep that on herself. But Mitsumi reveals, like, because she's naked, Taiyo's seen for the first time the scar on her chest. Turns out Tampopo has already gotten their hands on her in the past, which is like, oh, it's like, Jesus. So this wasn't, I mean, obviously she's had to deal with people after her entire life, but probably, well, there's always been a concern and worry, but I'm sure it became even more of an issue the moment she became the head of the family. But finding out she was already kidnapped at 6th grade, and they, like, the scars from them cutting open her chest, they were that close to getting her heart, because getting a heart is a lot better than blood samples, or getting even any amount of blood. It's like, it's obviously a lot more concentrated in the heart. Makes sense. The heart pumps the blood, so the summoning that is necessary for the Yozakura powers and stuff is more concentrated in the heart. So she was like, even like one, she was kind of almost implying like one sample could create like 10,000 compatibility people, but she also said like it's also going to create 10,000 victims, because if you don't have that compatibility, like it will, I mean, even if you do, like there is a limit to how anyone can handle it that's not a Yozakura. But she knew that Taiyo would be fine, because the best time to give someone Yozakura blood is when they're on the edge, like he was. He was on the edge, like he was on death's door, and that made it the perfect time. So she knew that he would acclimate to it very nicely. She never expressly said this, but it does seem like her father is the conversation she wanted to talk about, and she kind of probably wanted to ask, because even Futaba was like, go ahead and ask, because I'm pretty sure she's like, knowing Taiyo, he will clearly say yes. And he ultimately ends up doing it. Like, without even her asking, he's actually the one that suggested it. But either way, she talks about that time that she's like, right, my father manipulated everything, so that manipulated us and manipulated the Tenpopo just for the purposes of getting Yozakura blood inside of you, which he was like, why is that? And she's like, I have no idea. His justification, at least the one he gave to Kishiro, was like, oh, I want to do this because it's my way of making sure the person that's right beside my daughter is able to keep her safe, you know? But it's still like, the Yozakuras could have trained him up, but it's like, I guess there's only so much he could do without the Yozakura blood. He needs that edge to protect her from, either he knows there's something even crazier than Tenpopo, or maybe there's levels to Tenpopo that they're not even aware of, that are coming for Mitsumi, and he wants to make sure that the family's ready. Who knows? Because the last time Mitsumi saw her dad was that flashback she had like a couple episodes ago. We got it again this episode when her father was carrying her out of that burning building. So I was like, oh, that was him rescuing her from Tenpopo back then. And specifically said like, hey, I'm going to save your mom. Just go with Kishiro. So like I said, I do believe these two events are the same, of like, because I'm sure Kishiro probably feels like the thing he probably failed to do was like, they got that close. That's probably what drove him so insane, is like they were that close to killing Mitsumi by taking her heart. They were that close, and it's like, if it wasn't for their dad, so he's like, he kind of owes Mitsumi, he owes their dad for that, but also it's like, you went off and joined that rabble of monsters, and also, we haven't seen hide nor hair of you since then, so we have no idea what he's up to, because even Mitsumi was like, oh, I didn't know he was alive still, until Kishiro confirmed it, so she wants to know what her dad was up to and why he's been doing all that he's doing. But Taiyo's the one suggesting, like, right, I got an opportunity. I need to go meet my father-in-law. And he's like, yeah, you deserve to have those answers, so let's go find your father. It's like, it might not be the happy reunion, but he's like, I do believe something good will come out of it, because Mitsumi's been carrying that for so long. It's kind of this complicated thing of, yeah, he did all this stuff, but there's still that aspect of, my dad's alive. And I'm sure for, you know, Taiyo, who has so many questions related to his own family, being able to have an opportunity to get answers, whatever they may be, whatever comes may come, you have to face whatever truth it may be. Being able to give that to Mitsumi means a lot, because obviously he loves her, you know? But obviously this sweet moment is immediately destroyed because Kishiro showed up. He finished his mission in time and was motivated enough to come track them down and got here super quickly. And stuff popped off. He's beating up his siblings. Granted, they can't directly fight, so he's turning it into a crazy pillow fight, which I love. The entire hot spring resort group, like, everyone gets involved. And it's like, yeah, it's not fighting as long as it's pillows. So we don't actually know what it was, but Shion was like firing stuff out of like a Gatling gun. I didn't know she was firing pillows or what she was. But then, like, I love Kingo tricking Kishiro. It's like he's so sister obsessed with Mitsumi that even though it's clearly Kingo like messing with you, he still can't like, oh, the power of Mitsumi, and like everyone dogpiles him. And I love the guy who was starting stuff with the Yosakuras. Like everyone put their shit aside just to take down Kishiro because it was the common enemy. But even for the Yosakuras and him, it's like your beef was with Kishiro in particular. Well, we got beef with Kishiro in this moment, so. And they all smashed him down, and it's like, yeah, we came out victorious. And as Mitsumi says at the end, apparently it became a legend that would be told for generations or something like that, which I'm sure Kishiro is not going to appreciate that. That's always going to follow him reputation-wise, because it was always like, yeah, we kind of got our get back. It didn't make it fully even, but we kind of got our victory, and that's all that matters. So just kind of a sweet episode. I figured as much. I knew it would be a very lighthearted episode in general, but also such a sweet moment between Taiyo and Mitsumi, which I thought was so dope. And just once again, just kind of being able to spend time with the family, just I kind of skipped over it a little bit, but like the fun little things like Shion beating the Crane game by literally taking every prize in there in one fell swoop. Makes sense. She's the gamer. She's the hardcore. Well, if this is Danganronpa, was it Chiaki, the ultimate gamer? Yeah. Also, whoever wins survives inside of this sauna that goes up to 300 degrees gets like the strawberry milk, and they've been in there for like 10 minutes, and then Nano's like, oh wait, why don't I transform? My mutated form is able to handle this, and comes out the victor in all of this. So, and Shion is kind of using Danganronpa. It kind of reminded me of Mondo and Taka, their little competition. It kind of gave me that same vibe. In fact, Shinzo, did I call him Shion before? But Shinzo definitely gives me like, he kind of gives me both Mondo and Taka vibes. But either way, tensions and all that aside, stuff like that's just kind of just, like I said, just more little fun things like that. It was just a fun episode in general. Really quickly, you know who else I completely forgot to talk about? I mean, we didn't really learn much about her, but the person who runs the hot springs place, her name is Emma. We don't know anything about her, just kind of like she seemed friendly. We never got to see the scary side of her when she really had to bust up a function, but she's the one that stopped the initial like pop-off between that dude and the Yosakuras. But beyond that, we never got to see what she really does. But we'll have to wait and see. She kind of gives me the same vibes as what's-her-face from the library. Especially because she like grabbed that button, and then when she squished it, it like turned into like gold dust. So I don't know if that's kind of like, oh, she atomized it, or not atomized it, but like crushed it down to the small. Like, we don't know what her deal is, but I'm assuming this was just kind of like a small introduction that we'll probably get to see more. I mean, we don't know if like outside of this facility it's an underworld facility, so she has her own connections to the underworld. Who knows if she directly participates in the underworld or not? Like, does she operate outside of that like business or what? You know, just like I said, it's just introduction. So who knows? It might be a while before we see her again, or like I said, outside of the context of the hot springs. So I'm excited to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.